Okay, we're live. We are. Glasses abound. This is just a wonderful sea of delightful eyewear.
Well,
Um, week 13. We'll wait a little second before to let everybody find us. I'm gonna be there's gonna be a hole in my weekend and a hole in my heart when this is done.
yeah, same. Nista.
What an incredible time we have had. What a transformative time we have had. What a meaningful time I have had. Truly, truly a transformative, incredibly meaningful thing for me to have been a part of. So I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about my indebtedness and my gratitude to all of you over the course of this
checks in the mail.
But in the meantime, here we are.
Yeah.
Week 13. There's going to be, I think, just a looseness to this week as we have a lot of guests coming on. We'll be covering a lot of bases. We'll hopefully be answering some questions and talking about what's next and what's to come. So here we are.
Yeah, congratulations, Dan.
Yay, Dan! You did it!
Yeah. Little did we know when you sent that little email how it would all turn out. I never imagined this type of camaraderie and learning, and the learners and people that have contacted us and everyone that's participated has been absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah.
It has been an incredibly affirming experience, I think, at least, from my perspective. I think when I reached out to you in those early days of learning about this course, I knew that the ask was going to require time and was going to require energy that you had absolutely no need to provide in addition to the course that you all put together, the incredible course that you all put together. But what a wonderful 13 weeks this has been. So thank you again for saying yes to this. And
thank you, Dan.
With so many people at home who have been tuning in every week and seemingly having a very similar experience to me as we continue through this course.
Yes. So should we tell maybe the audience our little schedule today of what's going to be happening?
Yes.
Okay. So for the next couple minutes, we sent Dan a little gift of appreciation that he's going to open. He doesn't know what it is. It's not butterflies or moths.
It's a booby trap.
And then we have our surprise guest coming on, a very special guest. And then about 1:15 or so, we have some our former guest speakers coming on, and we're going to talk about. We asked them to think about two things. One of them is, how to be a really good, respectful ally. Thoughts on that, and then any sort of places that other people would like to donate to, or organizations that they would, feel free to give their resources and time to. So two of those questions. And then last questions for Dan. And then we're going to say goodbye. There's going to be some thank yous. Sarah is going to talk about some upcoming new courses from the Faculty of Native Studies if you're interested in continuing your learning journey with us. And we have a couple of announcements, and then Dan has an announcement at the end. So that's basically how it's going to go today. Hey?
It's very concise.
Tracy, you're so good, Tracy.
I have Sarah to organize me, so.
Well, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's emailed questions over the past 12 weeks. Like, I've been, tallying these questions, and I have, sometimes I was able to answer some personally, but not always. But I always appreciated every single one of them. And so thank you so much, everyone who's been tuning in, who's donated. This really means a lot to us. And I think it's challenged us pedagogically, in our teaching and whatnot. And we're always looking for new ways to how to talk to people about these kinds of things. And talking to Dan and also the viewers and learners has been really a gift to sort of transform how we exist in this world with this work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right on.
And Paul, did you have anything to say before we smudge?
I'm good. It's covered everything. Jeez. I do want to say that, like, the analogy is that Tracy is Batman, I'm Robin, Sarah is Alfred, Dan is Commissioner Gordon. We are all this great Bat family.
This analogy that we just came up with. Let's preface with that.
That's right. It shouldn't last forever.
Signal.
Yeah, it's the best we got for now, but we'll work on it.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
what I have to say.
Clearly, I need a cape.
Yes.
Needs polishing.
Cape and cowl.
All right. Got another little bowl of sage. My friend just gave me this cute little bowl, so it holds my sage rather nicely than my jar. I can't get my magic.
Can't get it open.
The struggle's real, people. Okay. Get serious here, Tracy. Okay, once more. So we smudge, it's a spiritual cleansing. And here we have one of our last conversations in this format anyway, with Dan and Sarah and Paul and all you listeners and people out there. We're using some sage from the last Walking with Our Sisters. We collected in Batoche.
Mm-hmm.
And my matches aren't working. Just hold on. I got bio. Stop joking, Tracy.
Jeez, Batman.
And this, of course, is to start our discussion in a really good way, to have people have open hearts and open minds as we go through. So they're listening with good ears, seeing with good eyes, and having good thoughts as we continue these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
For you all, hi.
Hi.
There you go, child.
Did we all put our glasses back on?
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. Thanks for doing this every week. It's been a really important part of our discussion. And I think it made it way more special and serious than without. So thank you very much.
Yeah. It's a good reminder to not be always joking or always salty, but have a nice, happy balance between.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy,
right.
would you like to present Dan with our gift?
Yes. Here's your gift, Dan.
Okay.
Here, Dan.
I have it here. Am I to open it now?
Yes.
We all have to do it on screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, this is a thank you from us for going on this journey with us from the Faculty of Native Studies. There's a lot of bubble wrap.
This is my drum roll. Cheers, Dan Levy.
Dan Levy.
Oh my goodness.
Let's just cheers. Beep. Mwah. Everyone kiss.
Cheers, everybody.
Mwah.
Oh man. I will keep this very close to my heart. Thank you.
Yay!
You want to tell them the story of that?
My mug.
Paul?
So the story is, Dan, that we got tons of interviews for this work that we're doing together, eh? And we'll talk about it later, but it just really mushroomed out. It really blossomed into this beautiful flower of like engagement. And the students have been the best part of this engagement. Is that a student named Tia Riar, who is from the University of Carleton, wrote a piece in the Carleton University newspaper did an interview with me for the Charlatan and the Carleton, and she sent this amazing article, and then on that had this amazing picture of you from an artist, a graphic artist, and it was so beautiful. So we decided to ask one of our amazing Cree and Métis guys we know in Edmonton, Clinton Desjardins. And he printed off a bunch, and we all got one. So everyone who is like in our guests got one, and we are also sending one to Tia as thank you.
Mm-hmm. And
oh yeah, and then it has this.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so matchy, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same color.
Everyone has picked up their hooded sweatshirts yet. I've seen some. I've seen it out there now. So now it's
seen some bunny hugs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're out there for purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pick it up.
So thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for 13.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers, Dan. Cheers again.
So appreciate it. Thanks.
Everybody. I'm drinking whiskey, so I don't know.
And I think what I would just say is that this is, all I wanted to do with reaching out to Tracy in those early days was try and do everything I possibly could with what I had. And for me, that was not just signing up for the course. That was the bare minimum. For me, it was saying, what can I do in addition to just signing up for the course that could be active, that could be helpful, that could be of service. And I hope that this course and the incredible success of this course is an example for people at home to go that extra step, because all it takes is a simple email, and next thing you know, we have this. And that really was just from the instinct of saying, signing up for the course would be the bare minimum. What can I do in addition to that to make sure that I am doing all that I possibly can in this situation? So I hope that this wonderful 13-week discussion that we've had can be an example to people out there who are potentially used to, metaphorically speaking, just signing up for something and not thinking, what can I do above and beyond?
Yeah, and I think that speaks to like going beyond awareness, right? Some people kind of get stuck in the awareness zone, and that's going beyond that. You knew you were going to learn lots, but what else? Because that's the clincher, right? So
and there generally is something else you can do in addition. There generally is, and I think all it took, for me, was just that first conversation and realizing that Tracy owed me nothing, that these conversations were going to take up time in your days, and that it really came down to your choice and providing you with that opportunity, as opposed to saying, hey, I've got something, like, why don't you just come and do it with me? It was not about that. Yeah. It was researching how to even approach that situation in the first place, to know that I wasn't giving anyone an opportunity, but rather I was offering something to someone and allowing them to decide how and what and where and why they would, either take advantage of a platform or not. And that's sort of, that really is a tentpole kind of learning thing for all of us, I think, is really understanding that we have to deprogram our own ideas of, privilege, and realize that you have to really kind of be very thoughtful about how you approach people and how you navigate the waters of learning.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's an excellent example, Dan, of how even it began and how it's coming to a close. It's just this, it's come for full circle, I think. So, well, we do have a packed agenda, and our special guest is ready to join us. So everyone, if Catherine, you want to invite her in, I'll introduce.
Anyone? Oh, there she is.
There she is. All right. Well, everyone, we have really special guests. This is our artist, Leah Dorian, who is joining us from Prince Albert, somewhere around Prince Albert. Yeah, where Paul and I are, our ancestors come from that area. So
represent.
Leah, this is Dan. I don't know.
Leah, thank you so much for being with us.
And Sarah as well. So welcome. So Leah, Elena Rosen and I in 2015, we put out a call to artists who might want to, do some art for this Indigenous Canada MOOC. And you signed up. You said, here's my art. What do you think? What made you decide to do this huge, heavy, amazing work?
Oh, you can't hear you.
You're a little quiet.
I think it's on mute.
I like her background.
Yeah.
Oh, she's ripping apart her room.
This is how it always goes, Leah. Don't worry. We do that too.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to use my headphones too, just so I hear better.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, welcome.
Ooh, that's better.
Question, hey?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was when can you hear me now? I'm
Perfect.
cords everywhere.
Go. Leah.
I'm not the techie, but I love the quality on this headset. When I submitted my name and I had my art and it's so playful and kid-like. And I'm a kids book author. Like that's where I make most of my living, is doing children's books and illustrating them and writing them. And I just wasn't sure how a university audience would react to my playful, childlike, innovative style. But I know that people who have to use intellect so much need an outlet sometimes, and they need to let go sometimes and be a little bit childlike in their learning, because we can get so serious. There's some heavy issues in the course, which I obviously, Tracy gave me the outline. I went, oh my gosh, residential school. Oh my God, I got to illustrate something there. That's heavy. So, but it's so important. It has to be brought to a visual, presence so that it's heard in a different way. So I wasn't sure if people would react to that. And I actually have had, over the years, a lot of people have strong emotional reactions to the artwork and the videos, Tracy, like really cool, out of the blue emails with and very heartfelt, really emotional reaction. And that's what I try as an artist and an illustrator, is to create an emotional reaction using color and form and body language. And and your university audience picked that up. So that's, to me, a bonus. So thank you for giving me that platform to take my art that is usually been seen by my fan base is 6 to 12 year olds. You increased that a lot more, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. I've had more emails in the last 3 months than my entire life as an artist in 3 months. Thank you.
Well, you've done such a beautiful job, and it was such a welcome and thoughtful accompaniment to what we were learning.
Mm-hmm.
I know Tracy and we were so newbie at the video part of it, and we weren't sure. It actually evolved. Tracy, like, we weren't even going to use video. Like, she's like, you know what? Come down. Let's get some students and shoot some footage and talk about the art. And it wasn't actually on the original plan. It was to do any talking about it. And because Tracy saw the value in the narrative and the story, and I had done some artist statements. I usually do an artist statement for every piece of art I create. And she's like, let's talk about it. And it was really cool to shoot the footage at the U of A campus. It was really surreal. Dan, I don't know how you do what you do, but I was sweating bullets with the lights and the cameras. I admire you. I totally do.
You just stuff some paper towel under there.
Well, Tracy, it was like 100 degrees in that room. Remember those lights? That was crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
you were glowing.
You look good, Leah.
The glow, the sweaty glow.
The sweaty glow.
They only knew.
Yeah, exactly.
I moderated the discussion panel on the MOOC for just a short time, and so many discussions were about your art and how impactful it was. And so many people were like, where can I see this? Where can I, And so I know people can buy the prints now for the MOOC, but they can also go to your website, everybody. Leah Dorian has a website. You can see what she's up to, you know, information on commissions, like you can get in touch. So
yeah, we were so lucky to secure you. When your art came across our desk, we're like, okay, this is the artist that we want. Is she going to be able to do what we need her to do? And I was looking at our emails back and forth, Leah, because you send me sketches, and as an artist myself, I can't imagine someone saying, no, can you add this and then add this and this, and to put it together in a beautifully aesthetically emotional way was really quite magic. So we were so blessed to have you as part of our team, and we'll forever be associating you with our MOOC, from our bunny hugs to the
awesome.
Yeah, bunny hugs, right?
Yeah. So yours is on order, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's been really great. And so can you give us like a quick update of what you're doing next before we let you go?
Yes, I'm actually doing a 13 Moons art show. I've got Batoche might carry it this summer in the beautiful historic Batoche. So everybody spread the word. We're working on details to have the show. I'm working on a 13 Moons coloring book, and Oscardo's been carrying some of my making shawls and prints and coffee mugs with a couple of my designs. So I'm actually getting to a broader audience because I'm so reclusive here. You know, I literally still heat with wood. I still have a usable well, and I'm pretty low key girl. Yeah,
live in the bush life. Yeah,
plowed out for 6 hours 2 days ago, everyone, and still shoveling.
Holy shit.
So, and to get that exposure, like, that's been so fantastic. And the course has actually helped increase like an audience who'd never, like 6 to 12 has been my common audience. And for this course to expose to a more mature, a lot of elders take the course. I had a lot of very retirees, older people, and they've reached out. They're so courageous. So bless them. I guess I got now some seniors in my family.
12 to 60.
12 to 60.
Nice. This is a crucial demographic. So
very much so. Absolutely. I think some of the baby boomers, they're in positions where some of them too are retired or still just at the edge of their professional career, and they need this knowledge, and I think it's great for them to have. So God bless all your work, you know.
Thank you, Leah.
Thanks, Leah.
Thanks, Leah. Boop, boop.
So much, Leah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
The best.
Hi.
Hi.
Amazing.
Wow. Surprise, Dan.
An amazing artist and an amazing human being. So
it's so great.
So glad she had the time to come say hello to everybody.
It speaks volumes to the care that you put into this course, and really, you know, thinking about everything and how all the different details would come together to make what we were learning as impactful as possible. So,
you know what I love about Leah too is that she lives in Prince Albert, she lives in the area, and she's from there, and we can still connect across all of this long distance to make an impact on the world. You know, there is no sticks or boonies anymore. We all live in important places, right? And I really love that about that. I love that about our faculty too. It's like all these situated places and knowledges are super important, right? So Leah is a great example of that.
Yeah,
and I feel like we're only going to be continuing to expand our web of geographic conversations when we introduce our next guests.
yes.
How about that for a segue?
A little sizzle there, Dan.
Listen, it's Rusty. I have not hosted television in a long time. We're doing our best. All of the guests that we've had on, many of whom have been, you know, in various different places across Canada. It's been so nice to build that kind of community through these discussions and you know, and talk to people from all over.
Exactly. Well, let's invite them in. Catherine, you wanna help us, or actually not help us, just do it. Just
do it because we can't.
Here we go.
Oh my God! It's Matt Wildcat! Holy schmoly!
How's it going?
Yay!
Hey, Matt.
Good to see you.
Tasha, Shailene. Oh my God, Nikki!
Aw.
Hello,
Family
Tasha.
reunion.
Shailene, Tasha. How cool is
It's
this?
like a this is your life of our 13 weeks together. Amazing.
Tanya's outside. Holy crap!
Oh my gosh.
Sean.
Excellent.
I'm on the kettle.
Oh, you're carrying the kettle?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Show us the space.
Hi.
Holy.
What do you say, Paul?
Everyone.
I was like, show Tanya could show us her land there.
Oh, you want to see the landscape?
Yeah.
Carry the kettle is near Regina, right?
I don't know.
She's stuck now. Sorry. I said
Frozen.
something.
You froze her, literally.
Oh,
Because it's very cold out there.
Hey, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
exactly.
Hey, Kim.
So, Tanya,
Kim.
you froze, so we can't see you yet.
What, I was frozen?
Yes, you froze.
I feel like you showed us the landscape just as you froze and then came back. just in time for us
I
to
think
see
I
you again.
have a good internet connection here.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Listen. I don't have a good internet. Yes.
Maybe you have to stay still. That's just,
What?
you're gonna have to stay still.
Don't move.
So, welcome back, everyone. It's so great to see your faces again. I think everyone can see the names, so we'll start with the person that's closest to me, Tasha Hubbard, in the blue shirt, and then we have Shailene Jobin over there in the fireplace, and Matt Wildcat, of course, Nikki Lagosi-Shimp, and we have Tanya Harnett out there in the cold, Sean Robertson in a nice warm office, and just chilling out in her beautiful living room in her space.
Mhm.
So welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining us for one last chat. How are you all doing?
Great.
Yeah, excellent. So you might have had some time to think about some of the questions, because this is our final sort of celebration wrap-up show. And the couple of questions that we asked you was, first of all, what it takes to be a good ally, respectful ally. What does that mean to you? Because we do get a lot of questions about that. People are asking, what do I do now? What can I do? And I know that's putting all of the work back sort of on us, which, you know, Dan talks about a lot about don't do that. But we really wanted to give people one last sort of going away thoughts from this group anyway, for now, on what a good ally looks like. And the second thing that we asked you was if there was any organizations that people felt so compelled to donate to or give time to or reach out to, or places that they could support. We also asked you to make a list, or and then we'll put that out later, but you can also speak it out loud today. One last thing, Paul's making me be the mean old auntie and to cut you off, which I don't know if I can do.
No one takes me seriously, so that's why Tracy's in charge.
Man, I'm the mean auntie.
Yep.
So I don't know who wants to start. Any thoughts on the allyship and what that means to you and what people can do?
I can kick us off if you want, Tracy. I think the two most important things to remember with being an ally is, first, a good ally does a lot more listening than a lot more talking, right? So be very aware of yourself and, you know, listen to what others have to say rather than trying to interject your own opinion. And I think my second biggest tip would be to, you know, we talk about checking ourselves all the time, but regarding allyship, I think it's important to be okay with, you know, understanding that sometimes people don't want help and to accept that. So, you know, as much as you may want to help and want to do good, which is really great and awesome, sometimes people don't want your help, and that's okay. So that would be my best two ally tips. In terms of an organization, I could recommend Bent Arrow. It's a small community level organization here in Edmonton. And what do they do? The better question would be, what don't they do? They work with Center for Newcomers, for instance, to foster good Indigenous to newcomer relations for people coming new to Canada. They help out with tutoring high school kids. At the onset of the pandemic, they donated a whole bunch of Chromebooks to families so that they could still stay in touch with, community programming, Cree language programming for kids in school, to have good technology at homes. So yeah, Bent Arrow, check them out. Thank you.
Nice. Thanks, Nikki. Excellent. I'm gonna go to Shailene.
Sure.
We'll drink.
Tansei, Shailene Jobin, Nitsigasun. So honored to be here again. And thank you, Dan, so much for inviting us into this space. And so a few things that come to mind are education. And thank you all who have been listening and taking the MOOC. And that's kind of number one. And check for you. That's amazing work that you've done and probably will continue to do. So that's number one. The second one that comes to mind is circle of influence. And all of us have our own circle of influence. We look at Dan and his ability to connect to thousands and thousands of people. And you could see how he used his circle of influence in this way. And all of us have our own circle of influence. It might be the school where your child attends. It might be family dinners when we're able to have those again, and all those different ways. Maybe where you work, maybe there's some training that your workplace can do. So that would be the second thing. The third thing would be relationships. And I think really all of this hinges on good relationships. We can see the relationships that all this team has and that Dan has with the team, and just how friendship has developed. And we can see how that could be a good modeling of how allies can work in relationship, getting to know people and really understanding. And then with relationships, I guess, is representation. And kind of like with what Nikki said, it's really important in many contexts right now in the world today that Black, Indigenous people of color are centered, and that their representation counts, and that they lead the way in many of these things. And they have those knowledges situated in your local context to know what that looks like. And maybe why Tracy asked me to go next is because my organization is the same one, Bent Arrow Traditional Healing Society. They've been around for 26 years, help over probably 20,000 Indigenous families and children a year. Their website's bentarrow.ca. I've been involved with the organization since 2001 and sit on their board as vice president, and I just love the work they do. One example is for kids in foster care and adopted out. They have culture camps every year that people can attend. And one of the days of the culture camp I attended a few years ago, there was an elder that has been gifted with being able to give Cree names, Nehiyawan names. And so these kids were able to go into ceremony and get their Indigenous name. And you can just see how important moments like that tie them to their identity and their belonging, as well as the responsibilities they have in life. So bentarrow.ca. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful, Shailene. Beautiful. Yes, we often talk about Bent Arrow, and they are involved in so many different things. It's an incredible, long-lasting society that have changed lives. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Shailene. I'm going to let other people volunteer. I don't want to pick.
Tanya's talking.
Thank you.
Wait for. Okay, all right. So I may have cited this already, but I got asked this question just the other day in a Laurentian talk that I gave by Zoom. And I want to cite again Adam Gaudry and Danielle Lorenz's article on indigenization and inclusion, which was an alternative in 2018. And this follows a bit on what Nikki was saying. I agree, you need to listen more than you speak at first until you're out in your own community speaking, right? And they talk about reconciliation. And that's more than inclusion, right? That attempts to change the ideas of other Canadians, right? How do they think and act towards Indigenous people? Reconciliation is not our responsibility, actually. It's the responsibility of everybody else. And education and listening is key to that. And then the second thing is that I think is important in being a good ally is the repatriation of Indigenous land and life, which is what Tuck and Yang say in their article, Decolonization is not a metaphor. So really it means land back, but what does life mean? Well, we can interpret that in a really broad way. I think a lot about working with Indigenous scientists as pulling resources out of dominant institutions to help build capacity in Indigenous institutions. So it might not only be land back, it might be pulling out other kinds of resources and capacities in order to enable Indigenous sovereignty. So there's a lot one can do materially, and that's what I really like to focus on. It goes way beyond education, but education's a good start.
Nice. Nice. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
Tasha.
Yeah. I think people start with education. I would just say that, to underscore that it needs to be labor done by people who want to be allies and so not calling the Indigenous person on your contact list and saying, what do I do and how do I do it? But take that on yourself. I mean, there's a lot of resources, a lot of lists, some of which have been done through the course and others that are easy to find, to do that research and educating of the self. And I would also just add that, when people start on that path, that they share what they've learned, right? That they actually, take that in, and as Shailene said, into their circle of influence and into spaces that, that need this sort of things to change and need those attitudes to change. And I guess for me, I think a lot about who gets to tell the stories of Indigenous people. And, we've had so many cases of our stories, our narratives, our even our own selves depicted and represented by non-Indigenous people. So, this combines the second part of it. I don't necessarily have an organization, but what I would urge is to really, be aware of that and support Indigenous artists, storytellers, designers, jewelry makers, filmmakers, and that can mean by purchasing their work, that can mean by, sharing knowledge about them that you see, articles, it can mean attending shows, actually going out and do that, because for Indigenous people to continue in that cultural expression, it can be really challenging. And so anytime, you have that opportunity, really support them and support Indigenous voices, as the ones holding the pen and behind the camera and all sorts of other ways. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tasha. That's awesome. You guys are getting words of golden wisdom. So for all of those of you tuning in, this is really quite incredible. So I'm glad the ones that are here. So thank you. Who's going to be next?
No pressure.
Yeah. Okay, Tanya.
One of the things I often notice is that people will say they're your ally, right? And which is nice to hear and all, but we need to be empowered. And that's really important, is that sure, you're an ally. Sometimes I've heard co-conspirator, which I really like, but they need to empower, not just say I'm your ally. There's a stage. Just don't have people say, here, I brought this First Nations, Métis, Inuit person. I've brought this person to do something. Empower the person, whoever's there, empower them to help. And create and build and construct things. I think that's really important.
Nice. Thanks, Tanya.
Oh,
Okay, we have our oh, go ahead.
My support. Ositsawan Collective. Ositsawan, new contemporary gallery art place downtown. Used to be where iHuman used to be, and it's spectacular. They were supposed to have their opening. The work is up right now, and you can book by appointment, but they're going to be killer in the future for contemporary Aboriginal art.
Okay, will you send us the spelling for that, Tanya?
Yep, no problem.
Okay. Excellent, thank you. Thanks.
Looking good, Tanya.
Matt, I think you were about to say something.
I think I was gonna say elders first to Sean because it's only me and him left, but I'll jump in now since you called on me. So going back to our great conversation that we had. So I think I just want to thank Tracy and Paul and Sarah and Dan for all the work. It's you probably feel like you're approaching the end of a marathon, and you can see the the ribbon waving in the wind as you come to the finish line here. Back in our session, I said decolonization is a craft. It's something you have to practice, you have to learn. And I'll just go back to that. And I was thinking about it in relation to, one of the scholars I follow. His name is Marshall Gantz, and he has this definition of leadership where he says, leadership is accepting responsibility for enabling others to achieve shared purpose under conditions of uncertainty. And there's a bunch in there, but I think one of the kind of the core things of that is this idea of uncertainty and the vulnerability that goes along with being uncertain. So, I think what uncertainty means in the instance of being an ally is that you're always in a state of learning. And it doesn't mean that some aren't more skilled than others, and that within all of these actions that we shouldn't recognize people who have these special skills and these special contributions. We should do that, but we're also all learners at the same time. And so I think what being an ally means isn't necessarily about performing a predetermined set of actions. So that's why you see everyone resisting this question of like, what should I do? And people resist it in all sorts of different ways. So that really it's about being able to learn what actions are needed in a given context, and the ability to learn in that moment to know what is best to do in that situation. So I think to be an ally is to accept that responsibility to be vulnerable in the act of learning as part of that, that practice of decolonization as a craft. So that's how I kind of, see, or that's my last piece of advice. And if I had to recommend an organization, I think iHuman in Edmonton, who works with youth downtown, is an excellent organization to donate to.
Nice. Thank you, Matt.
Well, thanks for passing it on to me, Matt. That got here faster than I thought. So I guess I kind of took this a different way, but thinking about students of the MOOC, including one in my household that wasn't me. My partner was taking the MOOC as well. And, so the students have been through a lot of reading and exams, and that's fine. But I guess the challenge now and the hope of the instructors is that they take what they've learned into the real world. I'm not sure how much kind of the shape of Indigenous studies came out in the MOOC, because I haven't taken it myself. I've only contributed to bits and pieces, but all of the people who contributed to the MOOC and who are in Indigenous studies are very much invested in having a community-based aspect to their research. So whether it's supporting land camps or being expert witnesses in court cases, stuff that historians do, or being involved with creative work through prison outreach, it's really definitive of Indigenous studies. And so becoming an ally is kind of springboarding off that, but in a different context. If you're not a professor, you're a student, you've got to think of ways in your own life to make a difference. In academics are kind of notoriously ones who are not terribly prescriptive when it comes to handing out good advice, but this group obviously has turned that on its head. So the things I kind of thought of were, in the post-COVID world, people are going out. They're, you read that people want to travel and see things, and maybe having taken the MOOC, people will be aware that they're going to places that are on treaty land or on unceded land where perhaps there's a treaty being negotiated. And so, think about where you're going and go there and meet people and engage with them. Also engage with civil society organizations. So, snoop around on the internet, there's national scale civil society organizations, and see how honest they are in their engagement with Indigenous people and living up to those obligations. Political civil society organizations as well as environmental civil society organizations. Going back to my point about putting the exams behind you and moving into the real world, it's all about not leaving democracy up to the government. It's about people through all of these ways that everyone's been talking about, building relations, learning from Indigenous people, and that's the heart of renovating the Canadian democracy. So that's kind of one angle, and then the other thing that I thought of too is supporting legislation, supporting everyday actions that are toward addressing climate change, because the land has to be healthy in order for reconciliation to take place in as full a way as possible. And so now is the time to do it in terms of that activism as well.
Wow. Wow. Paul, did you want to say anything to our guests before we say goodbye for now?
Yeah, I love all y'all.
What's your idea of ally?
What's that, Sarah?
Paul and Tracy, what are your ideas of a good, respectful ally?
Yeah, I'll let Tracy talk last.
Listen to these
Robin first.
people.
Yeah, listen to these people, because I think that's true. I think,
yeah.
Go for
ahead.
it, Tracy.
No,
Yeah.
Go.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Come on, Robin.
I'll go. Jesus. Robin will go first. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for being part of this wonderful conversation that we've had over 12 weeks, 13 weeks. Every single time we got together, I remember it very viscerally. So, I mean, it means it's very sacred, right? Like, I remember Matt calling me and he's like, hey, so do you know that you're on this thing? And I'm like, what are you talking about, right? He gave me a wake-up call, which is really hilarious and awesome. So I really had a great time with every single one of you. And I think this is what good allyship too is, like, to share and to be affectionate and to be like, full-hearted with what we do. And I think that's what we do in the Faculty of Native Studies. And I am very lucky to be in relation with you guys. So with everyone here. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Go Batman.
I am so impressed. And I constantly am impressed with the knowledge base that we have at the faculty and of your generosity to share, and it makes me, when I see all of your faces right here, it's like, I just want to walk into our lunchroom again. I want to see everyone sitting there laughing and, joking around and talking about Chris's food, or, it's just, I miss that so much. And nobody really realizes this, but it's the only place I've ever been in my work life where from 12 to 1, people go in, they take a lunch and they sit down at this big giant table together and we break bread. And it's such a magic place to be. So thank you all for being here, and I'll let Dan have the last words before we say goodbye.
I've already been so articulately expressed, but obviously my gratitude will know no end in terms of what all of you have given to me in this learning process, what you have given to so many people across the world who are participating in this. I think, when we started this, I had no idea just how full and emotional and transformative these 13 weeks would be, not just for me, but for so many people at home, in terms of having conversations about things that are for many kind of settler people very uncomfortable conversations to have, and yet it is necessary, and it's been proven to be a necessary confrontation of our own discomfort in order to be of better service to others, and to learn and to grow and to use what we've learned in hopefully constructive ways to affect, whatever change we can possibly affect with the space that we occupy. So to all of you who came week after week and shared your knowledge, shared your wisdom, shared your expertise, I am forever in your debt, and can't thank you enough for really making these 13 weeks as incredible as they've been.
Cheers.
Yes, before we go, Sarah has put one of these mugs in each of your boxes at work. So when we get yay!
That I'm so sorry in advance.
It's waiting for you in your box at work. So yeah.
Where's Dan's? Bring yours out, Dan.
This is not. We're good.
Better be not Ava.
Cut the tape on that. Cut the tape. Thank you so much. And, here is to the future of all of this. And if this doesn't give everybody at home an indication of how valuable this faculty is and how necessary it is to continue to support it, then we will keep talking about this towards the end of this discussion, in terms of supporting the faculty and ensuring that we get to continue the courses that we have come to really so appreciate. So,
okay, awesome.
Right on.
Thanks,
See you, buddy.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
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 I'm crying now.
Don't let go.
Oh, Tanya.
I'm not leaving.
I know. I just keep thinking about how cold Tanya must be right now. See, there's like some.
Oh no, I'm fine. This is so warm. This is so warm.
Bye, Tasha.
Love you guys.
Thanks again.
Love you too. Bye.
Oh.
Wow.
My heart's so full.
Do you realize just how this entire sort of experience, the community that's come together across all sort of different, there's been so many people that have come together to talk, and it's such a valuable thing. It's such a transformational thing, I think, to converge and discuss and to make relations, as you've been saying, Paul. So it's emotional.
Yeah, it is. And, before we go on, I'd like to just say about, to my settler brothers and sisters and everyone in between out there, about allyship. It's really not a title you should give yourself, because we don't actually, as settlers, we don't set the parameters of what that means. It means different things to different people. And so if you develop relationships with communities and people, you'll find out what that means, what support means. And, one of my mentors told me that Gabonesi red-tailed hawk, he said, I don't need an ally, but I'll take a sister. And so since then, it's really framed and changed the way I look at it. I don't identify as an ally, because this sort of development of kinship relation, a brother and sister, I take on his dreams and his needs are very important to me on a level that an ally, it's difficult to make that kind of connection. And secondly, we don't have to, like Nikki said, we don't have to put ourselves into Indigenous spaces to do really important work, right? There is mass systemic racism that defines our systems, and we need to be on that, doing that work and telling people in our communities and doing this work, because it's very easy to say what, I don't agree with you, you anger me, I'm done. But that leaves all of that work on the shoulders of Indigenous people of color, who cannot choose to disengage because it's their very lives, right? So that's a privilege that we have to engage or not. And so let's do that work. And so this awareness is sort of the tip of the iceberg. It should be like an electric jolt once you have that awareness of where you need to go from there. So.
I think it's so true what you're saying about allyship. And I feel like we live in this culture where we're constantly sort of questing for things. And I think for so many people out there, whether we're aware of it or not, we might be questing to, to achieve that kind of status of an ally, when in actuality, the quest isn't the right quest to begin with. You shouldn't be questing for a thing. It is a matter of improving your own experience so that you could be of better service to other people. And it is interesting, and it's a word that is used to sort of describe. It's self-explanatory, but at the same time, it's not something that you can hang your hat on, I don't think. And it's certainly not something you can prescribe yourself, but rather as an indicator of something that you can hopefully like philosophize with to embody some of the attributes or all of the attributes or the most of the attributes that go along with allyship. Instead of questing the title, quest the philosophy. And, I think for me over these 13 weeks, there's been so many kind of moments where I have stopped and said, okay, it's in the minutia as well. It's the general concept of understanding an education and taking that education to improve your relations with the people around you. But it's also about the little things that you can do in a day to shift the racism, the systemic racism that has infiltrated communities. It's the little things that you can do. It's the vernacular that you're using. It's the words that you're using. It's the way that it's deprogramming the centering of your voice to make space for other voices. It is things that ultimately require this kind of massaging of deprogramming all that we have come to know. And for me, it's been an unbelievable process because at times it catches you off guard. You don't even know that you're doing it because it has so been a part of your privilege. So, for me, I think one of the big takeaways will just be the constant positioning of myself in relation to what I am doing, what I am hoping to achieve in terms of my relations with other people. And that, you really have to, almost with every decision you make, ask yourself, who is this servicing? And is this going to service the person, the peoples, the communities that I hope that it will, in a way that is, not about me?
Yeah, and do you have anyone to tell you no?
Absolutely.
I have Tracy, I have Paul, I have a lot of people who will tell me. And that's not an easy relationship to build. That takes a lot of trust because you have to respond well. You can't respond, like a possessive settler whose feelings are hurt.
So I guess, in terms of discussing the faculty, for those of you that don't know, we've talked about it before. This is the only faculty of Native Studies in North America, and we need to support it and encourage it at all costs. So we will be putting back up a donation link for everyone out there. And I am putting out a challenge to all of you to raise money for the faculty. And I will be matching every dollar raised up to $25,000. So I hope that inspires all of you to promote raising money, to rally your friends around raising money, to get the links out there for people so that we can really kind of make a financial impact on a faculty that has been so generous to all of us learners out there. So that is my challenge to all of you. Let's see how much money we can raise. It goes without saying, obviously, that I will do everything I can to continue to be of service to this faculty. And we are having conversations about what to do for the future, and hopefully something exciting and fun will come out of that. But in the meantime, I am here for all of you. And I hope that all of you at home continue to support this faculty, and that this is not just 13 weeks of your life that you then kind of close the book on and walk away, that this really becomes the first step in your education and in your quest to be of better service to the people around you. So we're gonna put up that link. We're gonna raise some money. What else are we gonna do?
Wow. Well, not getting to the questions, are we?
I don't think we're gonna do questions today.
No,
we might need to answer some of those questions like privately or on a message board. This is, such an enriching conversation.
Yeah. Absolutely. We were just so lucky to have all of the people be able to come back onto the show. We had a couple missing, but I mean, for the most part, everyone came back. So that's a testament to the work that's being done here.
Chris Anderson and Chelsea Val were missing, but yeah that's it.
So of course, with everything, it looks like maybe, us four are the face of the team. And for the MOOC, a lot of people say, good job, Tracy, but it really was a huge, huge undertaking and a group effort. So there are so many thanks to give, especially to our elders and our knowledge keepers, the community members, our faculty, of course, our staff, and even the students, who help make this course rich with the knowledge that it has, and sharing our history and experience as Indigenous people. And I have to put a shout out to the former Dean, Dr. Brendan Hokofitu, who in 2015, he was the Dean. And when the Office of the Provost came to him and said, hey, all you Deans, who wants to do a MOOC? And I think he shot up his hand. So, he took control of that, and he took the challenge of creating a MOOC, and he entrusted me to this project. So a big shout out to Dr. Brendan Hokofutu, who's now at the University of Waikato in New Zealand, or Aotearoa. And Elena Rosen, nobody knows this person, but she was my colleague throughout this, and she was amazing fellow editor, creator, writer of the MOOC. And thank you for your dedication, Elena. It does not go unnoticed.
Hi.
And Reuben Quinn, you guys all know him from the MOOC. He was sharing his teaching so generously, and he was also our voiceover. And when the Leah asked me, like, who could do a voiceover, I just thought immediately of Reuben Quinn, because he's like the Morgan Freeman of Cree people. He's got this sultry voice. I hope we get Reuben. And then Tara Capo was our female voiceover, and she has this rich, smoky voice. So yeah, great voiceovers for them. And our guests from the faculty, their humor. Also, a thank you to Leah Dorian, the amazing artist that was our special guest today, and all her stuff. Go check out her website. There's so much available online from her. Our artist, Tribe Called Red, like, these guys are big. And so when we were first introduced and asked, what music do you want? And they showed us some flute music, and nothing against flute music, flute people. It's just
fine.
Great. I just thought something more energetic and something more contemporary. Tribe Called Red, they said yes, so we could use some of their beats, and that's the beats that you hear going
all
in.
The interstitials.
Chief Ladybird, the group 1491s who have their videos on there. We stand on the shoulders of many talented and skilled Indigenous artists. So thank you all for that. And of course, my amazing team, our team, Paul Garreau, Dr. Paul Garreau, and Sarah Howdle, the producer behind the scenes. She's amazing. Thanks for giving your time and energy to this. I know we didn't really know what it entailed, but
we had no idea.
Stepped up, and yeah.
No.
So thank you for this, and to all our supporters and future supporters who's donated funds and energy and time towards Indigenous Canada. I can only say that Kinan Naskomtanan, we're so grateful for that. So before we leave off,
Can we also say thank you, Tracy, for being our amazing leader and taking this so seriously and framing this like ceremony? I think it's a really important thing that made this happen the way it did. If it wasn't for you as part of this group, I don't think it would be as amazing. So thank you so much, Merci.
100%. I was just about to say that just as Paul said it. Now I'm just gonna.
You can say it again, Dan.
I'm just gonna second it. There are things that happen in your life that you don't necessarily expect will have the kind of impact and shifting of your kind of spiritual tectonic plates, if you will. And emailing Tracy so many months ago, I had no idea just how significant that would be for me personally. So I'm just so glad that you said yes. I'm so thrilled that all of you offered up such generosity of time and spirit and knowledge. And I know that there are so many more courses that people can take through the faculty. So I was hoping that maybe we could just, before we go, talk about some of the other options that people can participate in when it comes to just continuing their education through the faculty.
Mm-hmm. We'll leave that to Sarah.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you, Tracy. And thank you to Catherine as well, who I don't know if lots of people know, but she's situated in LA and she's also co-produced and been really wonderful for putting us together. So at the faculty, we're actually sort of expanding, and we have been expanding our online course selection. So right now we're working on a few big pieces. So the first one is called Countering Stereotypes of Indigenous Peoples. It's a first-year course. And the idea is to pull the rug from underneath settler-based constructions of indigeneity, taking up the most prevalent stereotypes of Indigenous people and learning how to unpack them, challenge the narrative, and see how they skew the lived experience of Indigenous peoples and allow the replication of colonial relationships. It's a really great course that Tracy, Tasha, and myself and Molly Swain are creating. Indigenous Peoples and Technoscience, also a first-year course. And again, these are all online. Also a first-year course that introduces students to the connections between science and technology, broader dynamics of colonialism, and the increasing demand for Indigenous governance within science and technology fields. So right now, these can be taken for credit or for auditing, and soon they'll be opened up to like lifelong learners. So we're creating them and then we're sort of adapting them to lifelong learners. So like anything, you can look up the information on the Native Studies website, also the social medias. And also coming soon is a little bit different, a few courses that are sort of like long webinars, sort of a bit of a different dynamic. There's a structural racism course that's coming out, as well as a condensed version of the MOOC. So Paul is updating the MOOC and sort of creating a condensed version. Mm-hmm. So all of this information can be found on social medias and our website. And yeah, I just wanted to thank all of the people that have donated so far to this, and to Dan for, offering to match up to $25,000. As a result of all this attention to the faculty, we've had to sort of rethink our structural approach to fundraising and make a lot of really good changes, because it means that we're dynamic and we're relevant and contemporary, and that the scholars that you heard, including Tracy and Paul, are able to do the amazing work that they do, teaching and scholarship based, right? Because they also create the scholarship that allows us to teach this work, alongside community leaders and elders and people who also generate knowledge that's just as important as the stuff that's generated in universities, if not, more. So yeah, there's lots of cool stuff happening at the faculty.
And I think even in terms of, just for those of you who have just finished taking this course, I think what is so great, everyone who's just taken this course has understood the value of this course. I think that goes without saying. I think knowing the value now of this course, I think it is a very simple thing for you to tell your friends, to tell your family, to tell your places of employment about this course. And I think it should be an integral part of general just base employment. I think Canadian organizations should have the participation in this course be a fundamental part of just general employment. And so getting the word out so that as many people as possible find the course and take the course is a really great thing that can be done just by a simple phone call, a text, or a conversation. So
absolutely.
Yeah, these courses that we're creating allow us to stay, remain a faculty, hopefully, right? The MOOC is so amazing, but we don't make any money off of it. And we, with the UCP cuts, our provincial cuts, our faculty, like a lot of other entities in the university, is in a lot of danger. So we're working really hard to create these courses and different funding sources so that our faculty members can keep doing the amazing work that they are doing.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Dan. I don't want to let go. I don't want to leave.
It's not the Titanic.
We'll find a way of working together again. It would be too sad not to. So
yes,
from the settler learner, I bow down to all of you. I just cannot express my gratitude for the time and for the effort and for your brains and everything that you have shared with us over these 13 weeks. I cannot thank you enough. So I hope for everyone who has been watching week after week that this has been of value and has helped you sort of continue the discussion that these 13 lessons have really have done. And here's to finding new and fresh ways of continuing these conversations. So
there's new ways.
I'm not
Mazel tov.
I am speaking to your faculty. I am nothing but a background player in this. So thank you so much, and here's to the future. And donate, please, please, please.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a see you later, not a goodbye.
Absolutely.
Maga. That's right.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks, Tracy.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Sarah. Bye.